I thought when you said that we were going to be shocked that you're going to be like, I don't know what it is, but this time war, I just like loved it. I was ready for that.
Welcome back to Listography. Jason, Joe, and Kramzer here. Today we are making our picks for our favorite albums of 1983. This is our albums of the year. 1983, it takes all the way until February 26th for Thriller to hit number 1 after it was released in November of 82. Also in 83, CDs go on sale in the United States for the first time. Dave Mustaine is fired from Metallica. The Motown 25 special airs where Michael Jackson unveils his famous moonwalk dance. David Crosby is sentenced to 5 years in prison for drugs and weapons charges. Paul Simon marries Carrie Fisher. The Rolling Stones sign the largest record contract of all time up to that point, a $28 million contract with CBS Records. The Clash fire Mick Jones. Kiss take off their makeup. Marvin Gaye sings his famous version of the Star Spangled Banner at the NBA All-Star Game. Bands form in 83, Alcatraz, BoDeans, Bon Jovi, The Cult, Dead Milkmen, Fastway, The Flaming Lips, Guided by Voices, The Jesus and Mary Chain, LA Guns, Megadeth, Melvins, The Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, NOFX, Phish, The Red Hot Chili Peppers, Tragically Hip, Waterboys, some bands break up, Humble Pie, Roxy Music, The Misfits, Mission of Burma, and The Who. And then some people die as well. Karen Carpenter dies, Tom Evans of Badfinger, Merle Travis, Klaus Nomi, Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys, Muddy Waters, James Jamerson, the famous Motown bass player, Felix Pappalardi, and Pete Farndon of the Pretenders. So that's 83 in a nutshell, but what about the albums themselves? What have you guys got?
How the hell did Paul Simon not score a song on Return of the Jedi? That's just, what a shame. What a shame. Okay, well, let's start with the albums that I had to cut. A lot of big ones here. First, one of two very underrated Rolling Stones albums from the 80s, Undercover, I had to get off. Rebel Yell, Pyromania, Eliminator, all of these I like a good bit. I'm going to start with probably my biggest surprise to officially make a nomination, and one I think myself, you, too, and pretty much everyone else in the comments in our great debut albums video missed. Cyndi Lauper's She's So Unusual. I love this album, and I think she's one of my favorite pop artists from the 80s. Follow-up to this album is not as good, and then she doesn't really have much good material after that, but this album is really good all the way through, and kind of the hidden gem is a pretty cool cover of Prince's When You Were Mine. You've also got Talking Heads, Speaking in Tongues I've got on here. I've got Let's Dance by David Bowie, and I've got Violent Femmes with Violent Femmes. But my winner is the antithesis of all of this. War by U2 is my winner. It's kind of this awesome, like, their best balance of their really good minimalist, like, it's airy and spacey, but has a lot of this passionate, sweet anger, very politically charged. It's a commentary on the world going on around them. And I also kind of think a little bit about pop music and how they're kind of just blown away in the fact that there's all this happy-go-lucky celebration of pop and its style, and it's getting kind of superficial and materialistic, and, you know, everyone's making a ton of money, and they're kind of like, hello, look at all this stuff that's still going on. And they're kind of like the new protest group from the mid to late 60s, and they're doing it in the early 80s. It's got a lot of really good, just tighter beats with kind of a new wave dance punk element at times. You know, Bono has amazing passion and conviction here. It's very cold, kind of conjures up these images of just like tattered, you know, city in ruins and rubble, and there's kind of a shining light streaking through the fog. Too many good songs on here to name. Everyone loves Bloody Sunday and New Year's Day. My favorite on the album is probably Like a Song or Surrender. Surrender is really cool, kind of chill, and Misty. I think this album's fantastic. People our age, for some reason, really don't like U2, and that's probably because of the newer sound and Bono's sort of mainstream public image. And even though I don't totally agree with that, and I like a lot of their newer stuff, I don't understand how you can dislike this early U2 stuff. I think it's awesome. I know Jason doesn't really like it, but I just, for people that hate U2, I don't know why they can't just concede that the early stuff is great. I mean, blows my mind. I'll never understand it. Can't wait to do the U2 listography to find out where a lot of my favorite classic albums of all time of theirs land, and just how much Jason hates it. It's going to be a fascinating video. An amazingly easy win. I can't think of many years that have come out so far that didn't have a runaway winner for me like this one. War by U2.
I also like U2 a lot, but none of their albums kind of cracked my top 5 until probably a little later. For 1983, I don't know. This year just I didn't love. Plenty of good albums, but none of my kind of all-timers. She's So Unusual just missed the cut, along with Frontiers by Journey, Elton John's Comeback, Too Low for Zero, all just on the cusp. War was right there, Murmur by R.E.M. But the top 5 this year, finally breaking through and landing on my list. At number 5, I have Synchronicity by The Police. It's such the quality on the album is very hit or miss, but the ones that do hit are really good. King of Pain, Wrapped Around My Finger, the big hits are all pretty good. The non-hits are kind of weak, but it still sneaks on in 1983 for me. Number 4, runner-up, 90125 by Yes. Love this album. It's a really good kind of synth pop kind of reinvention for them. Also on my list, I got Genesis Self-Titled. I think probably their most underrated record. I love pretty much every track on here. I really like Silver Rainbow, kind of a deep cut for them. The only song that sucks is Illegal Alien, and that almost ruins the whole album for me. But I love That's All. I love the drum on That's All. Fantastic. Sort of homage to Ringo Starr. Home by the Sea, Mama, just really strong effort from Genesis. I also got Pyromania from my boys in Def Leppard. Before this, they were kind of a metal band, really, and this is sort of them flexing their pop songwriting. Yeah, Mutt Lange kind of came along and just sort of blew them away with his pop sensibilities and the way he kind of helped them with songs like Photograph and Foolin', Rock of Ages, all kind of, not pop, but definitely kind of leaning into pop while still kind of retaining their hard rock edge. But number 1, and it was really close to him having a back-to-back-to-back, because Imperial Bedroom just missed in 82. But I have Elvis Costello, which with Punch the Clock as a runaway 1983 winner. Lots of kind of poppiness. Definitely a big change from Imperial Bedroom, where he kind of went Burt Bacharach. This is him going, I don't know exactly what genre this would be, but he definitely punches up kind of the pop, the horns on stuff like TKO and Let Them All Talk. Every Day I Write the Book's a great, just kind of classic Elvis Costello tune. Shipbuilding, fantastic anti-war tune. Awesome kind of horn solo by Chet Baker on that one. And I think the album, song to song, there's really no weak tracks for me on this. Not quite as varied as something like Trust or, sort of adult like Imperial Bedroom. But there's just great song after great song, all with kind of a renewed energy thanks to the production and the horns. So another classic for me by Elvis Costello. Probably maybe the last time he wins for me. So the end of the Elvis Costello era on Joe Steigerwald's top 5.
Good shout for 90125. I kind of struggled with it, but the highlights on it are so good, and the album sounds amazing. Leave It is one of the best put together songs ever. It's ridiculous.
Love it.
All right, 1983 for me. I wrote down a bunch of possibilities, and as I was kind of looking at my list, I had 5 that I was like, that's probably my 5. And then I started listening to some other things that were maybe a little further down my list. And as I was listening to things, I was like, oh, some of these are definitely better than what I had. So my list got all switched around, and we were texting a bit. I told you I had some surprises.
Yes, what are the surprises? I'm giddy as a schoolboy right now.
Well, what I told you guys was that I had one pick that I thought Cram would have, but would be surprising coming from me. I had one pick coming that I thought Joe might have, but would be surprising coming from me. And then I thought I had one that might blindside you both. The one that I thought Joe would have, Cram actually had, and it is She's So Unusual. Fantastic pop record. I think way more influential than people realize. I think it totally changed pop music. It's a great record, and the production on it's so good. And her vocals, she's a really, really good singer. And the way she delivers lines is with so much personality is fantastic. One that I thought Cram could potentially have, but he didn't mention, was Power, Corruption, and Lies by New Order. And the one that I didn't think either of you would have, and neither of you did, but it was funny. We were recording the other day, me and Cram, we were doing some record reviews, and he mentioned this band in passing, Reach the Beach by The Fix. I love the singles on this record, but I also love the rest of the record, and especially for the guitar playing. There's some great guitar playing. It's that real clean single coil kind of stratty sound all over this record that I love. Sign of Fire, especially, is the guitar playing on it's so great. Then maybe my more typical picks, I've got Let's Dance by David Bowie. I had this at number 5 on my David Bowie listography, and people were not happy. Not many people seemed to think it was that good, but I love it. I think it's a great pop record. Nile Rodgers, David Bowie, and Stevie Ray Vaughan, like very unlikely trio coming together and making a fantastic pop record. My number 1, though, is Speaking in Tongues by Talking Heads. By the time people see this video, they will know where Speaking in Tongues ranks among my Talking Head records, but we are actually recording that tomorrow, so you two don't know exactly where it ranks. But I love this record. I think it takes sort of all this experimentation and different stuff they were doing on Remain in Light and just refines it and makes it even more palatable to a wider audience, makes it poppier, but without losing any sort of the artistic integrity. I love a lot of the grooves on this record, really funky, really catchy melodies. One of my favorite, maybe my favorite Talking Heads record, Speaking in Tongues.
You know, the 80s are really, we thought it would be a big splitting off point for all of us, but look at me and Jason in 83. 3 out of the 5 same nominations. It's exactly what Reagan wanted, everyone coming together, and it's perfect, Jason. She's So Unusual making your list is shocking.
I'm not shocked by that. I wish I'd put it on mine now. Screw the police, but it just missed. I had it on my list, so could have had us all 3 with it. That would have been nice.
I'm kind of surprised you had Synchronicity on there. I mean, if you watch the Police video, we did talk exactly about what you talked about, how the hits are just among the best hits ever, and then the rest of the album just like, what?
Not a great year for me. Just 83. Nothing really jumped out. It was mostly about just picking the album kind of with the most hits that I like. She's Unusual. I like the hits a lot. I think the second half's not great. And then there's a bunch of albums like that, like Innocent Man by Billy Joel and Speaking in Tongues, War. I like a lot of songs from them, but I don't like the full albums that much. So I like them. I just not enough to reach the top 5. It's a rarefied air. So I had to really be selective.
I'm surprised we didn't have any Murmur selections, R.E.M., especially Cram, I thought for sure.
Yeah, I love R.E.M., but and I like Murmur, but it's gonna we're about to get into enough R.E.M. everyone can handle. So
I that was one of the ones that was in my sort of original idea of what my top 5 would be. Murmur by R.E.M., the similarly titled but very different Mummer by XTC, and I had Punch the Clock probably making my list and then falling a little bit. All right, guys, put your favorite albums of the year down in the comments below, and be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and hit the bell so that you get notifications. We will see you in 1984.